All right, here we go. Silver Scrapes. We got game 5 on our hands, and I am chomping at the bit, man, because BLG has put together my perfect draft. Literally going into this tournament, this is what I said blue team should be trying to get, is exactly this composition. They've got it. So I don't know what else to say about this besides they're definitely going to win. Silas, Rakan, and Aatrox bans. We have Zaya, Renata, and Jax as always. We got Rumble first, answered by Gnar and Vi. All right, so taking the lesser of the meta junglers, going for a counter pick, which is only so-so for counter picks. Rumble deals a lot of damage to mini Gnar. We get a response of Jarvan Orianna, and they do that saying, okay, you can have that because we'll have a Kali and we'll just outplay you and play for a 1-3-1, I guess. But they're going to have a lot of trouble playing against this composition in the mid game. Second round of bans, we have Caitlyn Aphelios going with Kalista Nautilus. We see Kai'Sa first, which opens up the door for Senna Kench. We have Rel as an answer. Now, Rel, this is a little bit, I take umbrage with this because you're trying to play a melee into Tahm Kench. This just doesn't work, right? You just give free stacks to the Senna. She's going to get too big. This champion snowballs. She gets up from ahead. A lot of people call it scaling. I wouldn't necessarily call it scaling. A friend of mine who's played hundreds of games on Senna describes it more as snowballing. That needs to stay ahead, right? You need to stay ahead as Senna. Yeah, you can get this absurd amount of range, and yes, you have this infinite scaling, but realistically, the way games play out, that's not the way it works, right? You end up with 60 stacks at like 13 minutes, then you're just going to take the game over from there, but you need to keep making things happen. That being said, Rumble, Jarvan, Orianna, they're all spiking at that same time frame too. So 11 to 16 is definitely the window where this team should take over. They're really going to be actually very good at all levels. Will be very interesting to see. There's obviously some chances for team fights between Rel and Vi to set up for Gnar and Kai'Sa. Akali's going to be trying to create some pressure in the side lanes, but it's so hard to generate a good team presence when you have Akali, right? It's so difficult to figure out exactly where she's going to fit into the composition. So anyways, big draft win for BLG. I have to call it a draft win because this is literally my dream comp. We'll see whether or not they can get it done in the game. All right, before we get into the game, I want to take a moment to say thank you. All right, you guys are being awesome as supporters of the channel. We have almost 1,000 new subscribers. So when we hit that mark, we're going to be doing a giveaway at the Academy. 10 hours, you can use it however you want, whether or not you want macro, micro, performance psychology, or whether or not you want to give it away to friends. You can work with your Clash team, whatever you want. We're here for you. All you need to do is like, subscribe, and comment on one of the videos at Worlds, and anyone who's done that over the course of this entire tournament will be entered for the sweepstakes. So again, thank you so much. Let's get on the game. All right, we're on to the Rift. Fanning out. Rel is actually going and putting a ward up in that top bush. This is to make sure to protect Gnar versus any cheese that might go on in his lane. So you see this right here. She's going to immediately recall back. Expect to see a sweeping lens when you see a recall like that, that they go out. But you make sure that you protect Gnar in a range versus melee matchup. It means that Gnar has that much more extra space to potentially jump into bushes and make sure that Rumble doesn't get behind you. The only way that Gnar will lose this matchup is if Rumble can get on and stay on top of you. We see that Rumble does have an Ignite here, something that we see for taking over lanes. All right, you expect to win the lane with that Ignite. You also have a lot more pressure in the side lanes to make sure that you don't get bullied out. It does mean that you have to be really, really aware of your map rotation timings, when to address side lanes, when to go for slow pushes, and when to rejoin the team. These teams have not shown a proclivity to generating slow pushes. I haven't really seen it from anyone in the tournament yet, so we'll probably stop talking about it soon, or maybe we won't, because it's just the best way to play. You should be generating delayed pressure. Every time that you push and you just feed a wave to the enemy team, it just feels like you're giving them so much opportunity to fight you back. Anyways, there you go. Rumble trying to take advantage of that bush. Gnar has the vision. That means if any poke comes out, the minions will go and fight back. Oy. Senna and Tahm Kench even going for a leash, saying we're going to seed this lane anyways, but Kai'Sa and Rel trying to do the same. So everyone's trying to get their junglers ahead. You see this ward placed down by Chovy, by Akali, so they're going to try to track Jarvan's motions here. With the leash, they should know something about it. I don't think Elk stuck around. You generally don't have enough time to stick around for the souls. I don't like that On is trying to use his Q for last hitting, though. That tends to be a mistake. Every single Q needs to be aimed at Delight. Early and often, every single one. All right, so the ward will keep track of Jarvan. They have an idea where he's going. The junglers are completely matched for tempo right now. Vi does have a little bit longer to clear here. but she's got that good AoE damage. Actually, shorting that just a little bit. Is Jarvan going to go contest this? The timing's just about perfect. He can fit into this pocket, cast his EQ, and steal everything. He doesn't actually get it. He realizes just a little bit too late. So he is able to steal camps. They end up splitting this camp in half. Vi's going to go and excuse herself over to red. Rumble's got the push. Orianna's got the push. So now Peanut's going to have a really tough time here. Jarvan is in their face, going for some big hits. Conqueror's about to proc as well. So now Jarvan's just saying, yeah, we can live here. I'm better early game than you are. Let's just chill for a bit. Wave's in the happy spot. Well, not quite in the happy spot. A little bit pushing in. Doran's going to have no problem getting these wave CS'd, though. And we'll see whether or not we have a dive here. It is a mini Gnar, so you could look to take the aggro. Flashes over the top, misses actually, but we get the ignite. That's going to be enough for the kill. Vi tries to jump in, picks up a minion, and deals some splash damage. We'll see if she finally takes a window to go for it. Now, this is something you have to do, right? Notice how they're helping with the push here. This is to combat against the teleport. This gives you two options. One, the normal one, the safer one, you recall faster, you get back out onto the map. That is the key. When you don't run teleport, you need help getting these waves in to make sure that you can create that. Option two is actually just redive the guy. It's like, okay, you want to teleport back here? I've got another wave coming in. There's nothing stopping us from going for this again, except the big difference is that Doran's at full health and there's no ignite available. So right here, you see the EQ is actually short. He doesn't aim it in time, actually misses completely and misses. Oh, no, he did get the knock up. Okay, jumps over the top. That looks like it almost shouldn't have hit. That was kind of a bizarre spot. Just the slightest amount of contact. It's barely enough, but it's enough. All right, where is Vi going to find any action? Oh, she's going to queue over the walls here. She's jumping over. They might have a window. Senna's low on mana. This is an opportunity to go in for sure. Pay as you see. This is what's always going to happen in these lanes against Senna Tahm Kench. You are just going to whittle out a lead here. They're jumping in. They're going for chain CC onto Tahm Kench. He didn't even need to flash there. That was all of their CC. You literally could have just jumped out. He used his flash. That is unnecessary. So we'll see if that's something that they can punish. But yeah, when they use all of their CC to lock you up to start, just cast W. You could argue that Delight actually overindulged themselves right there. Probably should have just gone for the W over the top. You land on the far side of Tahm Kench. Great. You don't need to do a stun lock, right? You jump, you can save the Q to respond to his W, and then you're just walking, continuing this fight, always having that Q accessible. And then once he's in range where he'd almost be safer walking back to turret, that's when you throw the Q out. You get that spike. Orianna and Akali, first to 6. Going to go back, pick up some resources, teleport back. They've got their full strength. They want to make sure that they have items for the level 6 spike. All right, Rumble 6, big bully opportunity here. He's going to be upset that he actually overhit. That's an opportunity where Rumble could have not gone for a last hit there. And by not last hitting, you'd actually allow the wave to sit where it was and come back to you. By pushing the last hit, you just push the wave ever so slightly and it moves forward. So unless you're being very calculated about when you're pushing in that extra minion, you're going to end up with a situation like this, and you're kind of giving Gnar his way out. Now, if you're Rumble and you can turn this into pressure into mid lane, actually look for a big chunk of damage using your ultimate on Akali, then we could have a big play. And especially with these two ultimates coming up, we might see a play where they try to go for this, but it's going to have to lead with the Yagao. Like, Yagao's going to have to bait this and essentially slide over, get hit by E, and try to entice Akali to go for E2. She doesn't do it, or Rumble moves over. They slide over to pick up the wave. I like this rotation a lot. They help with the rotation. Rumble comes back to pick this up. He was present in case Akali tried to shove back. Orianna joins for the play. This will be very good. Now, it is 7 minutes, so we're talking about another cannon wave coming right here. I expect Senna Kench to back, and they should rotate over to the Rift Herald. All right, Orianna should pick up the bot wave when it gets pushed in, and then she should come back. Jarvan should work through his camps and end up right here. Senna Kench should immediately go in. Rumble should push and work his way over. This is how they're going to snowball their lead, is through that Rift Herald. It looks like, however, we have Senna just chilling in the bot lane, doing nothing. This is obviously what you don't want to have happen, where you're just sitting here and you can't get anything done. So this is a missed opportunity for this team. The Senna Kench always want to get into the fights, right? They want to snowball. They want to get the stacks. They want to keep on moving. They want to fight. And because of that, they want to move over to Herald. They want to be where the action is. Bot lane, go ahead, go for it. If Kai'Sa wants to push a lane by herself, that's fine. Even better, Orianna comes over, ults her in the face, and then rotates back over to mid lane. Instead, they're opting to stay here. This will give a window for Rel to roam over, right? Kai'Sa might look to recall. You can have Rel come over, and you can create advantage here for the Herald if you want. Now that Senna and Kench are kind of stuck here for a little bit longer, these two behave like a mated pair. You generally don't want to roam as Tahm Kench or as Senna. You can roam a little bit as Senna, but you want to have the stacks, right? You want to make sure that you're dealing damage. You can't just be roaming for random, like, extra presence. Your gank pressure is not that high. Maybe you have some setup if you have, like, a Pantheon on your team or an AP jungler that can, you know, more reliably lock people down. You don't really have that. So Senna's not trying to create follow-up CC. We end up with the play we're talking about. Rel slides over. Kai'Sa's just going to hide out of vision. Very important note right here. Would have even preferred that she just tucker herself against the right wall. She's staying to the left in case something fights out. She wants to be able to rejoin. Rel says nothing's happening. We're just going to come back, and I'm going to help you collect this wave. Now, the other thing that supports do, by roaming off, all right, you don't see the level discrepancy right now, but you can see the little XP discrepancy. Once per cannon wave, you need to let your carry get an extra solo melee. And if you do that, they will continuously hit spikes on waves and not have to wait for the next wave to hit their spikes. All right, so I'll put a link into the XP chart in the description below. You guys can check that out, show you where the spikes are coming from and where people can get those resources. But I have to call this a big miss, honestly. BLG saying, no, we're going to stay here. We're going to try to slow the game down. This is not how they want to operate. This team should want to try to snowball. They want to try to get more resources in their pocket. They've got a half K gold lead, and they've got Senna stacking up 40 stacks at 9 minutes. Not bad. We're going to try to hit that like 60 mark by 13. All right. You want to be set up and well. She will not have it in time for this dragon, but 40 stacks is enough to be reasonable. You see that you got the early boots of swiftness. That's to make sure that you can dodge around the engages. Potentially a problem here. We've got knockback, stun, knock up. A lot of chances for them to lock you down, especially with Rel as well. We're going to see how she's trying to position to stay out of that. Preferably, she's going to be so far out of the fight that it's not even going to matter. All right, Rel and Jarvan are here to shadow these moves. Senna Kench is rotating towards the middle of the map. You guys are 3 minutes late for this, folks. Nothing's going to end up happening. Do they decide to just sit here, or are they just going to roam back down? Senna might go over and just like help. If Orianna's going to go push, this is a small nuance you can do. Oh, hold on. We see an engage. Senna ult. Clapping the edge, but we also get the flash out. So they're going to be happy with that. Our ultimate comes back so quickly. Rel ultimate's not even in this lane, so she'll be able to go elsewhere. Next time they get a chance, they might go for a Vi and Gnar combo up here as well, but we see the early plated steel caps to play against double AD start. Senna's still at 40 stacks. Perfect by Orianna. The fact that that caught Chovy is a pretty big deal. That's a little bit of a chunk of damage. Means that Chovy's going to clear this wave and look to recall and come back. Are they looking for this dive? Jarvan says best way to play defense is to play some offense. I never let you get the ball. Ooh, missing the last hit. Hey, a little trick, by the way, if you want to hit. You see this little stanchion right here? That's where the focus of the turret is. So that little banner, that is what's deciding. So this little bar is what is saying what to last hit. So if you A-click right there, left click, all right, you may have to program it, but A-click, you can program to left mouse button. You left mouse button right there, you will always hit the exact same thing that the turret's hitting. So you will never miss. It does not matter if the minion wave is stacked up. It doesn't matter if they're all three on top of each other and one's a third health, one's 2/3 health. And it doesn't matter, right? Whichever one you see the turret hitting, you can time it, boom, say, all right, this is the one. Now I go and try to just clap, even if it's being completely covered. A little trick to help you get that extra 1 or 2 CS per game as you come up. But a lot of people, you know, it tends to result in more. They tend to get a little bit tilted if they miss one and then they miss the second and the third because they're reaching for the first. So hopefully with this little pattern, you'll get the first, you'll feel confident, and then you'll feel good, and then you'll get the second and the third because you're good. All right, Oriana rotating over using teleport. They're saying a lot of proactivity. GenG doing the correct answer, which is just taking a recall timer. It's like, okay, you guys want to put all your presents here onto the dragon. We'll push in a couple waves. Gnar is going to be the big benefactor here. Rumble is going to be very late to this rotation. Gnar's going to get a nice little prize for himself there. Senna gets 2 souls from the dragon, but nothing else, right? She's still sitting at 48. We talked about her wanting to be at 60 by 13 minutes. Not happening. So is falling behind the pace of the game slightly. Rel and Vi coming up for the top lane push. They've got the Herald going. They're going to use this. Now, they could have gotten greedy for this. There was no reason to play this Herald early unless you were going just for the dive. The fact that this plate hits means you've actually griefed yourself 5 seconds. Your team is going to take longer now for this kill. The only way that you can call this worth ever is if the Herald dies. And you very intentionally want the Herald to die here. Because Herald dying means that enemy team doesn't have access to that extra gold. Right? That's it. That's the small reason. That's the only reason that you'd want to do it, is to say I'm denying it. But frankly, putting yourself on the map 5 seconds earlier tends to give you that 25 gold back anyways. You just put more gold into the game when you do it that way. For those of you who don't know, the plates have a base defense, all right? The turrets have base defense, and then for every plate that goes down, multiplied by every champion that's nearby when the plate goes down, they get extra defenses. So you'll notice that these plates can go up to like 255 and then 440 armor, like insane amounts of armor. The Herald deals true damage, so you always save that one for last. And you make sure that when the plate goes down, like you drop it with 2 plates left so that you hit the last half a plate, and then the charge happens with true damage. Hold on, we got a lot of action going on. Oriana trying to get it. A lot of proactive play here from GenG. They're taking over the Western Quadrant. They're going to penalize Tahm Kench for staying down in the bot lane. This is not how you want to move. Again, we said it. They want to be a mated pair. Tahm Kench and Senna want to move together. Gnar still has his ultimate, so Elk is just going to keep on running away. Swifties are going to do that task for him admirably. We're probably going to see an Umbral Glaive here soon, next time he backs, which should be right about now. Tahm Kench is working on this as well, trying to get his team that extra 50 gold. Now this is the perfect wave state, 5 versus 6 on their side of the map. You can allow this one to come back to you. Neat little trick by Tahm Kench there. You move over to the left edge and then he jumps into this. It makes it look like you're puddle jumping into the river, but you're actually puddle jumping into the 3rd bush. So here we go. Here's the teleport behind Bin. He's overheated. No, 2-hit teleports. I love this. Proactive plays. Jarvan saying, no, better for us to just call this off. Now, we've seen in previous games when this happens, when the play is inevitable, they end up just throwing the equalizer on top of the rest of the wave. Trying to get that. Here we see GIGA being locked up. He's using the ultimate on the far side of the Vi. That does mean that we're short a couple of ultimates here. 4 ultimates down. Chovies is actually coming up, so they're going to feel a little bit of strength here for themselves, but that's it. Senna and Tahm Kench are going to be happy to rejoin every fight. You're going to see them in the mid lane now. And basically, they're just going to branch out, and they're going to create this umbrella right here. They will be part of any fight that exists within this umbrella. Late in the game, you can divvy up the map, all right? You just draw a line from Krugs to Gromp, and this is the middle of the map. You basically have to stay in this range. If you don't, then you're too weak on the other side. So this is why you put people in the middle, because you'll be able to play defense on both of these ranges, all right? Think about like how much space you can control. If your team goes here, then you're weak here, all right? But if your team's in the middle, then you're always able to answer the strength. That's why you're going to have Senna and Tahm Kench always sitting here. Senna has made that 63 stack mark, so she's outranging everybody now. Next big break point, I think, is 100, where she starts being able to... I think she can shoot over the wall at that point. See if we get to see that in action. I'm not sure. If you're a Senna main, you can let me know. Is it 80, 100, or 120 that lets you start shooting from here to here? All right, Stormrazor Pickaxe. We have the Q evolution from Kaisa. We saw one of the games earlier in the tournament where someone tried to cheese this opening out by starting with Longsword. who was it? Might have even been Pays. And at level 8, they had the Stormrazor pickaxe, and they were walking out. No, it wasn't. It wasn't Stormrazor pickaxe. It was Serrated Dirk and Umbral Glaive, and they didn't have the evolve, and they just tilted out of their mind. They made mistakes for the next 4 minutes, and eventually they just went back. They died and immediately bought 2 longswords, and that's when you know you're just like, oh, yep, that guy screwed it up a little bit. They thought they were strong enough. You need to have those extra levels to go along with it, or you need to buy that Dorn's item to start. Levels matter. All right, let's see. Chovy's angle right here. We're approaching for the dragon. Red team already has Prio moving in. Senna Kent should want to fight this, but instead they're going for mid lane. They're saying we can draw the fight by creating structural advantage. Anytime you can trade dragon for building, I say that's a win, especially for the team that wants to snowball. You want to turn everything into gold. Your team is going to do well with those early golds. And you want to deal permanent structure to the base. Oh, he's not able to get the R. I want to go for flash auto. Probably spaced the, sorry, when I say flash auto, flash auto ult. Probably spaces up, make sure she doesn't get chomped up. One of the things that you want to do, especially when you're playing the Senna Kench combination, you actually want to W first as Senna. You want to ping where you're going to spit as Tahm Kench. Senna throws your W, and as it's arriving, you spit them on top of the W. Make sure that that thing hits. That will ensure that you're able to get the next 2 tongue lashes and the stun from the Q. I don't know, is tongue lash actually the name of the Q? I should say the next 2 autos and the Q for the stun. All right, GenG 2K gold lead. They're missing out on a dragon. That's okay though. Sorry. Yeah, they're down a dragon. They're good. The extra movement's going to be good around the map. However, you could argue these are the best 2 dragons to have for BLG. Now, what I haven't seen from them, I've seen a lot of overreaction moving around the map. We saw that teleport to a dragon that was being uncontested. Then we saw Senna and Kench not go after the first Herald. They're not picking all the fights. I'd really want them to try to play for this mid-game spike. Rumble is exceptionally strong, although I hate this second item. You have a plated steel caps over there. This is like a non-mover. See whether or not that becomes a liability. The plated steel caps will play pretty defensively, pretty nicely against these. Even Akali goes for some extra auto attacks, although the damage is pretty low. All right, setting up for Baron. You see that ward right here? Yeah, they ping it. They've got the note down. You're always going to see, especially once they get that ward, the turret down, they're always going to get that ward. You tend to want to hide it to one side or the other, so that a sweeper walking down the middle won't see it, whereas it will still see people walking through the lane. So you can just drop it right in the middle, but also, you know, you see these dots right here. Enemy team can see those. They can see what your pattern is, so you can actually hoodwink them. You can say, hey, look, here's where I've been warding. I've been just warding in a nice straight line. And then the third time you ward, when it's most important, most pivotal, that's when you tuck it in against the wall. And you can maybe get yourself a little bit of an advantage that way. Either they don't see it, that would be the amazing best case scenario, or it takes them a little bit longer to find it. Buy yourself a second here or there. These things matter. We saw it in the extreme the other day with Nico. Caps playing Nico, where he convinced Yagao to basically never touch him for the rest of the game. He bamboozled him so hard with that cannon swap. And then the fact that he was moving side to side, constantly trickstering, constantly using. We did not see Yagao do that in his game, by the way. Completely different quality of Nico game. You need to be using those passives, need to be doing those tricks, because you're constantly setting up expectations for your opponents. And that way, when you come back later and you ask them questions like, who's the Nico? Where is she? What is she planning on doing? What passive does she have available to herself? Those extra questions, you make it more and more complicated, and potentially the answers come up wrong. All right, remember we said that there's a line of scrimmage here, and it's a foul for AD carry to be here. Both Vi and Kai'Sa are on the wrong half of the map. This is a complete foul. This should get punished. BLG has the inside track for this. Senna's going to go to the outside, as is Tahm Kench. Senna damage is not very consequential for this fight. Expect to see the red carpet come out like this, or like that. That's fine. Drawing X is good. Rel is trying to engage into the team. They get the first half of the fight that they want, and Doran is in position, so they actually get a really good engage for themselves, flashing out. But Senna has a ton of value coming up here, and the stacks, the big benefactor out of big fights like this is always going to be Senna. Going up to 84 stacks off that play. That was a foul. I cannot believe that we had a position here where you had the jungler, the carry, and the mid laner all on the southern half, the bottom half of the map, right? The bottom third of the map. So I'm actually surprised that they were able to get here in time. Honestly, if Rumble had built differently, they would have taken this Baron quite easily. They end up positioning themselves perfectly for Rel to get a 3-man big knockup. Vi almost gets a multi-man knockup. Would have preferred to get that onto Yigao and get more pass-throughs. So that's something she can look to get more of. Pays is constantly dealing damage in the back, but you see Baron was also helping blue team there. Close call. BLG's thinking like, man, why didn't they get that win? They had that for themselves. They end up fumbling that almost as badly as they could have, and it still was okay for them. Hold on, Chovy's getting aggressive. This is kind of weird. They're trying to time it with a teleport. Vi's looking, does not have her ultimate though, so there's not really any good follow-up here. Jarvan finds Doran. You know that he doesn't have the ult, so you're safe to ult in there. They get the first one. They pop the stasis. And now Rumble's going to have a frenzy here. It's going to be able to rip through everybody. Chovy will be next to fall. Senna is stacking up like crazy. 89 stacks. They're going to move over to the Baron pit. GenG getting the best answer, which is picking up the second cloud for themselves, but it's not this is not even close to comparable. Now, are they going to go over with the 3? They're going to be counting ults. They're saying, all right, we know that Jarvan, Rumble, and Orianna, the big combo, that's all gone. We still have accessibility to maybe stall this out for long enough if we come over and we're perfect. But they could also just lose the game. And they opt to say, all right, let's continue. Let's go for the scale. Let's not contest. We don't need to try to do this with everybody. We already have to kind of be like, WTF, Chovy, what were you thinking here? This was all fog, right? Look at this line of vision. They saw nothing in that area. Chovy had no idea that they weren't all there. This is not how you wanted to use the stopwatch if you were Gnar, not even close. Been feeling like he's strong, flashing forward, getting into the team. Rest of the team has to jump back. Pop all the extra damage out, and that means they've got Baron. And Chovy's going to be a little bit disappointed with himself here. Does not again. The man's name at Worlds, unfortunately, has been Choky. This guy does not perform the same in high-pressure situations. He never has. Number 1 solo queue. He's got the highest rating that anyone has ever had in the history of the game. But when you get to these situations, he just tends to buckle down to the thing that he knows easiest. Mid lane. I'm around mid lane. I try to gap CS, and I try to rotate for gold and make the play if I see it. And it's just he doesn't make the big team play. He doesn't hold his composure well. He is always underperformed in these games. We said that whoever would have the better mental steel for this game would come back to win the series. And right now it's BLG. All right, Baron is in hand. They've got the tier 2. They've got the inner already pushed here. You see that the control ward being placed. You're going to try to get at least one more down before the Baron goes down. You'd like to get all of them down. So sometimes you see a 1-0-4 split or a 1-1-3, and then they turn that into a 1-3-1 or a 4-1-0 split. You tend to want to go opposite the side of the objective that you're coming up on, right? So in this case here, Dragon, if you want to have a free track for Dragon, the best way to do it is to get this inhibitor down, right? That is natural. You want to put people as far away from the action as possible. Think of it like pawns pushing up the board, and there's only one king that can defend. Obviously, there's multiple pieces here, but you're saying, hey, can you defend both of these threats? They're on opposite sides of the board. Can you figure it out? So they want to get this tier 2 down. By getting this tier 2 down, any push that they create in this lane can threaten the safety of that turret. I want to see a good flank angle here from Jarvan. They can threaten this. Jen needs to be careful about giving away too many structures. It looks like they're getting one back, or Akali's pushing in the side lane. Definitely wants to match 1v1 into the Orianna, or ult on top of her as she goes for her play. Now she's going to go and try to teleport to this. Now same trick goes, if you're teleporting and you want to know which minion got hit by the turret, you just teleport, aim your teleport on the minion or on the turret, and it will move you to the closest one. Hold on, big upfront damage. They're going to get a huge chunk. They're actually going all the way into the base. They've got Chovy. He's dead. What kind of defense are they going to have available for themselves? Is BLG actually going to continue? The Baron's gone. There's nothing really left to push except for the momentum, the fact that they're 5v4. Now you see what Elk's doing? See how far up he's playing? Because he's got that 100 stacks. He's able to play up in front of everybody. They're actually bleeding out everything. Orianna, oh, Rel is forced to counter engage. I love the counter engage. Peanut tries to jump in, try to get a multi-man knockup. Where's your ultimate, Peanut? Cast it. Ends up with a single target onto Bin that absolutely could have gone onto On. You would have had a 4-man knockup if you passed through and went to everybody there. So they end up getting the least out of that, which is just Bin's life. But he held on to that for too long. I think the saga's going to continue. Peanut and Chovy, you're good, but can you win the last game of the season? There's the engage. We get the knockup. Forced in. Rumble's dealing damage through the smoke. Just burns this guy. And eventually you see the dash forward. Easy play. Front to back. Whenever Jarvan gets a nice easy angle, and anytime you're pressed up against the boards like this, it makes it very easy for Jarvan to hop in. It makes it very easy for Senna ult to join. And you see that they have a very easy team fight when it's just front to back in the side lanes. GIGA, I like that move, putting the ball on top of the turret, make people lose sight of it for a moment. Right here, Vi 100% needs to be ulting across their entire board there. Would have gotten 2 kills. They would have gotten 3 kills. Bin would have died, Auden would have died, and they probably would have gotten Zun as well. Very tough to see. Obviously, in the heat of battle, things going so tight, it's a very difficult spot, but you can see the demeanor from GenG. They know they are up against the wall now. Now BLG, with supers pushing into the top, they're going to move their pressure over to the bot lane. This is their next target. They want to get this inner turret down. They want to make sure that this inhibitor is gone for the Baron respawn. That said, they're not in time for Baron respawn unless they're willing to just sit in this lane. The fact that Baron could exist means that red team should be looking to fight back through mid. They can look to cede some amount of pressure in the bot lane. And if a protracted siege goes on, they can go engage. So right now you see if they have any sight of these recalls, they should go onto the Baron and try to set up. You see that they've got this little pocket of vision right here. They're trying to create some avenue where they have some amount of threat. Now, if you're Orianna, you're not really feeling good about being in a side lane against Akali, but Akali has no teleport. So if you can bring her over, then this would be ideal. And then step away, make sure that she can't all in you. But in this case, with Akali's teleport coming up shortly, I'm sure they have the timer on it because they know about this. They're probably going to opt to just push mid, turn this into immediate pressure here. They're probably going to tuck the Orianna ball right against this wall with the opportunity to send it in any direction. Easiest path forward is to put it onto Jarvan, have him EQ, EQR even, put everyone in a straight line. Hold on, do we get our straight front to back? Equalizers in a perfect corridor. This is going to make it super easy to play Senna and Rumble in these positions. Straight front to back, just hit everything in your way. Chovy is trying to clear the fight. Finally, the peel comes in. All right, repositioning. He has to use a stasis. I don't know that he wanted to use it. That stasis gets you killed, my friend. BLG a little bit more composed in the fight. This is China's strength. Team fight extraordinaire. Korea always better at the bend but don't break. Kite backwards while presenting threat in a web. Hold on, we're going to see a little bit of more pressure here. Then went for a little bit of a trap. Korea, fantastic at the bend but don't break. That's why we saw presence on Aphelios, but Aphelios is just not meta, right? He's there for the anti-Callista. You are trying to force it onto me. I want to play disengage. That's when Aphelios is good. I don't think Aphelios belongs in the red 1 pick the way that we saw from GenG in game 2. All right, top lane is going to respawn. This is going to be the last inhibitor or the last super spawning in the top lane. We're going to look at this fight. A lot of action here. This is exactly the corridor that you want to fight. If you're Senna Rumble, this is perfect. And now someone needs to drop a control ward in that bush. You want to maintain vision support superiority. They do get one right here. Very important how that affects the fight because people are jumping in and out of vision. Doran gets the big ult, but then turns mini right here. Probably the worst possible timing. You'd like him to be mega, stand in the middle of that fight for a little bit longer. And especially since you're the Gnar, it's your job to be in the middle of this fight. You need him to tag as much as possible, lose as much of his health as possible. You end up seeing that neither Guardian Angel nor Sterix even being touched. This is the problem with a double defensive item. You just don't deal enough pressure. They can just ignore you. All right, last super is gone. So we're going to take a push right here. We're going to see 1 and 4. 4 people trying to break down the turret. 1 in the top lane to make sure that they get that wave in. They could also allow for slow plays, but like I said, these teams have not shown the proclivity to siege with slow pushes. It is the winning play. Chovy's trying to create some sort of space for himself. See a teleport behind. He's doing it to a wards that's dying. They found an angle. Delight getting a big chunk, though. What's the rest of the fight going to be? Akali's trying to get in, deal maximum damage. That's a huge chunk of damage, but we have a resurrecting Gnar. Let's see. Soon as repositioning, Senna gets a 5-man shield. Beautiful ultimate. People are just not dying this game. Too much shields. If I'm Rumble or if I'm Jarvan this game, I'm going shield bash, man. All these extra shields going on top of you. Seems nice. All right, they get the early pressure. They get Vi dead. Flash and Ultimate can be down, so when she's coming back, she's not exactly an imminent threat. We'll see whether or not they go for the inhibitor again, or whether or not they just go for the straight front to back. Zun is feeling super strong here. Gnar opting to try to push him into his team. Might have been better to push him into the wall so that Kai'Sa would have an easier chance to stack plasma. Instead does not, and this means that they're going up. Equalizer's being laid down. BLG is going to take it. Korean fans are going to be crushed, but BLG, hey, they played great. Unstoppable draft. What can I say? That is the best team, I think, for this tournament that you can try to get. Get those 3 power picks for yourself in the top lane. And yeah, this is way too early for GenG. GenG was my pick to win the tournament. I thought that Chovy had finally made it that far, but I mean, we had a couple gargantuan draft diffs in this tournament, in this match. This is something that the coaching staff is going to come back and look at it, and it's like, how did we give this up? How did we allow this to happen? And in game 2 to give up Xayah Renata to go along with this, right? You can say Xayah Renata might be individually best in role at their spots as well. So going to feel very weird. GenG thinking that they have a read on the meta. I feel like they're just way off on it. I feel like the world knows about this. Whether or not they know about this, jury's up for debate, but they should know that this is the A1. I mean, this is the S tier. This is what you want coming out of the draft. You literally target these 3 champions. The reason Xayah has been broken in the pick ban phase is because if you pick Xayah, then you force the enemies to take, well, I say force, you force the enemies to take Rakan, and then they only get 1 out of these picks, and then you get the other 2, and then you're super happy. Right? That's what makes the Xayah pick so strong. And if they take 2 picks, then you grab Rakan and the other one, and you're happy. That's why Xayah is a presence for blue 1 picks. It's why only Xayah or Rakan need to be banned in the pick ban phase. And from there, you can work on, and it basically has to be a red side ban if you're going to leave these champions open. But this is the Mount Rushmore right now for the tournament. We'll see if any other teams are willing to try to put it together. The scary thing is BLG left plays on the table. All right, they actually had more they could have done this game. They ended up relying on Chovy trying to overplay a couple times and just taking advantage of misplays, right? But superior draft, right? When you help your pieces so they help you. It's a famous quote in chess. You just get the best pieces. You put all the right pieces in play. I've got 5 strong pieces. They're in position. And no matter what you do, it seems like it's always wrong. Because if you try to fight me, I've got Senna, I've got Jarvan and Rumble, right? I've got this amazing front-to-back team fight. Awesome team, group-to-group team fight. Everything about this comp is great. Can't say enough about how strong it is. I'm happy that BLG has put it together. I'm happy that they're moving on since they're the team that knows, and I want to see the teams that are performing the best. And any team that leaves this on the table doesn't belong in the semifinals, frankly. So sorry to be harsh about it, but GenG, that's the best you got. See you next year.